Imagine that thousands of dead bodies are on the streets, cities are engulfed in shadow, and fear is in the air like an inevitable storm. People, losing hope, go in search of salvation, but death does not spare anyone. This is not a fantasy. This is the reality of 1348, the year when the world faced a catastrophe that could destroy humanity. The plague. The Black Death. A word that made you tremble with horror. It's not just an epidemic. It was a real natural disaster that left no survivors. People died in the blink of an eye, and those who remained alive were terrified, not knowing what to do, where to run, and how to survive. Why was it so deadly, and how did this epidemic change the course of human history? My name is Adrian, and now we are going on this journey together. 5,000 years, 32 minutes. Let's start. Part 1. The beginning of the disease 1347. It all starts in the East, in Asia, in China, where the deadly plague had been raging since the 1330s. But it was in 1347, through trade routes and settlers, that it reached Europe. The unknown disease spared no one. People fell ill with a strange fever, high temperature, headaches, joint pain, and then swollen lymph nodes, which grew to the size of apples. This was the first alarming sign. Soon, those who couldn't fight the disease died within days. For some, it was only a matter of hours. Ships from the east, filled with goods, but as it turned out, not only them, brought the plague to the port of Constantinople. Soon, thanks to trade routes and intense exchange, the plague reached Italy. By 1348, it began killing people in such numbers that it seemed like the world was coming to an end. Part 2. Distribution across Europe. So the plague has reached Europe. 1347, the first major case in Constantinople. 1348, the start of the epidemic in Italy. Within months, it spread to France, Spain, England, Germany. On its path, the disease reached even the most remote corners of Europe. By 1348, it had reached Britain and Germany. But why was it so deadly? The plague spread not only through flea bites, but also from person to person via coughing and sneezing. This meant the disease could spread quickly. The disease not only wiped out healthy people but also instilled fear in a society that had no idea how to protect itself from it. As the disease gained strength, cities began to fill with bodies. In some places, villages lost a third of their population in just a few days. Historians report that in some European cities, the plague claimed 60 to 70% of the population. Part 3. Social and cultural implications. During this time, people lost faith in God. In Europe, where religion played a crucial role in life, the Catholic Church could not provide answers. Priests died in the same numbers as ordinary people. This led not only to despair, but also to a deep disillusionment with the institution of the Church. Those who survived were gripped by panic. Many sought out scapegoats, and that's when persecution began. Jews became the main targets for accusations of spreading the plague. Hysteria led to numerous pogroms, murders, and the isolation of Jewish communities in some countries. European cities were filled with refugees and people fleeing the disease, causing even greater economic and social problems. A significant portion of the rural population also perished. Farmlands were left untended, and years after the epidemic, Europe's economy could not recover. Part 4. The plague in Asia and Africa. However, the Black Death didn't stop at the borders of Europe. It spread over vast territories, traveling along trade routes through the Mediterranean and Arab countries. The plague reached Egypt, North Africa, and even part of the Middle East. Millions of people died in Central Asia, in the territory of modern Iran, Turkey, Egypt, and even India. Part 5. Statistics and deaths. According to historical data, the Black Death claimed the lives of 25 to 30 million people, which was about a third of Europe's population. Considering the global population at the time was around 400 million, this was a catastrophe unlike any other. In each country, the death toll varied. In Italy, up to 60% of the population perished. In England, about 40%. France and Spain also suffered enormous losses. Historians argue that the plague left its mark on every city it touched. Part 6. The end of the epidemic and consequences. By 1353, the epidemic began to subside. But the devastation it caused was irreversible. Lands that had once been densely populated were now empty. Society in Europe, Asia, and Africa was enduring a severe crisis, reflected in the economy, politics, and culture. However, it's important to note that after the plague, changes emerged in social and economic life. The population decline led to higher wages for the survivors, as well as a new focus on medicine and science. The plague demonstrated that diseases could change the course of history. People began to understand the importance of hygiene, public health, and improving sanitary conditions. The Black Death of 1348 was not only a horrifying tragedy that claimed millions of lives. It was an important lesson we must remember. It showed how fragile we all are in the face of nature's power, and how crucial it is to maintain respect for science, medicine, and life. The Black Death changed the course of history, but we must remember its lessons.